with a wealth of ignorance, given my lack of understanding about commercial real estate and so forth. I'm impressed with what staff has done. I really respect Eli's opinion. I'm more than happy to let it go forward, and with the notion that we're going to want to see information coming back and can determine whether whether it's not performing or it is.
Andre?
I'm willing to go forward with two concerns mentioned in the letter. The fee in lieu, I think that's a concern, and the duration of 10 years, and with the caveat you come back. I agree with Eli. I think he's right, but when I look at affordability and a lot of things, to me, dealing with PDC for 20 some years, this is a big move for PDC, and I'm just afraid it's going to fly out the window, and we're going to be back talking about this a year from now or 2 years from now, and I'm like, get something on the table and then push ahead and try to carve out more, but keep talking about it, we'll be here a year from now. And so I'm just like, it's not a defeatist attitude, but it's one of reality, I think.
Okay, Ben?
Generally in favor. I do share some concerns with that. I think Jeff voiced. I think if the value of the FAR generated is close or equal to the cost that you have to put into the TIs, it may not be enough of an incentive for it to work. And slightly related to that, and it's maybe a calibration of the numbers, if the value of the FAR is about $20 a foot, and the fee in lieu is about $24 a foot, I'm assuming that the calibration, the differential there is to incentivize for on-site improvements. So the $4 differential there would be that incentive. I'm assuming that's how it's supposed to be working. But I would argue that in different areas of town, that FAR actually has different values. The vision would be different than somewhere else. So I'm not sure by having the fee in lieu, maybe I just have a similar concern about the fee in lieu, but coming from the perspective of in some areas it might just be easier to just pay the fee in lieu because of how the value works.
Just real quick, does not the fee in lieu change kind of for certain areas?
Not as is currently, yeah, we've just mirrored what
Mixed use
HB
zones,
is
but I'm
doing.
looking at like CM1's at $23.83, CM1.
Right, that's the
for
same as in the
CM2.
inclusionary housing administrative rules.
So it slightly
currently.
changes for certain areas per zoning.
Well, for zoning characteristics, but not geographies.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point that the value of FAR in inner neighborhoods is different than the value of FAR in outer neighborhoods.
Okay.
Chris?
So I don't know much more than Mike about commercial leasing, but I have had the opportunity to follow PDC and Prosper from a policy point of view for a number of years, from city club advocacy to 6 years as a city budget advisor, watching how hard it is to compete for general fund dollars for Prosper. I know that programs that work outside TIF districts are hard to get funded, so I think that tips me over to say, even if we think the take-up rate may be low, this is still a valuable arrow in the quiver, so I'm going to support it.
I have to say that I'm with the other two on not knowing a lot about this area of life, but it sounds really reasonable, and I do support it.
Chris?
For what it's worth as a non-voting member, I appreciate the work that staff has done into this. I think it's a really thoughtful proposal. I think that there are a lot of really important unanswered questions, but I guess I'd rather see what happens in a year than spend a year talking about it. Also, for what it's worth, I think it would fit in your classification of populations that haven't been served by economic progress, but looking if you can do work with groups that work with ex-offenders. who typically have a hard time getting jobs, but might have an easier time starting a job if they can get financing.
Yeah, it's an excellent suggestion.
So if we got 14,000 square feet, and if you figured it was 600 square feet, like the tiniest space possible, that's 23 entrepreneurs that get a chance. And out of those 23, statistics might be different than what I remember, but you'll get about 2.875 successful businesses. So if we can actually generate 3 businesses that are successful, you know, become the next Salt and Straw or whatever, that's really great work. So it's not perfect. There's some things that we should refine and clean up, but I'm supportive.
Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and support moving it. You've heard some of my concerns and skepticism. I hope you'll continue to fine tune the regs before you launch, and hopefully clarify the one thing we went through several times here. Make clear about the affordable housing versus affordable commercial. I did have a procedural question in terms of what so the city council already has something in Title 33 we forwarded, right, saying and it's got numbers
Rules to
in it
follow.
that are no longer accurate, right? Because if my understanding is
No,
what
they're accurate.
I
They're,
thought it says it calls for 25%.
no.
No, that was changed, so that language is out of the code.
So what
That's
have
a
we already
council.
forwarded to city council? Just sort of a generic, we endorse PDC, possibly coming back with.
We forwarded the program stating that administrative rules would
Come back, I
basically
see.
take care of the particulars.
Okay.
I don't think you want to read it all, but I'm flashing the language that's in front of city council, right? And basically, we said complies with the program that Prosper is
Okay,
developing.
that's all. I was just trying to make sure I understood. So our letter would say we're endorsing their program, and maybe we're gonna throw in a few comments or suggestions about the program. Got it. Okay. Let's give them a chance. You've done a lot of hard work.
Can I just say to Teresa's comment, I think, with the underwriting that we're intending to do, I think that we're gonna see a higher success rate. Because if you can kind of get through that gauntlet, I think, that's a level of scrutiny that most businesses, when they start in retail, I've been working in this area for 20 years. Probably the most heartbreaking moment was, this retiree had set up a business and spent all of his money on TI, and I helped support him when I was a Main Street manager, and we were so excited and encouraged by what he did. But I didn't take a look at that lease. I didn't know what he was getting himself into. He lost his life savings. That's been very instructive for me. We really will look at what people can handle and coach them and finance them, and that's going to make them have a better than average opportunity at success. So I hope we can do a lot better than 3.
Well, thank you for all the time. Thank you for coming back. I also am going to be supportive. So at this point, I feel like we have enough consensus to forward a letter. I would say I've heard of now 4 concerns that we'll probably address in the letter and look to, as we're kind of writing the letter, try to explain that there's some concerns about the fee in lieu. There's concerns about the duration. We have requested reporting, and I'll just say on an annual basis. If your first one's a year and a half out, that might not be the end of the world, but I think just similar to IH, we're looking for kind of annual reporting to test the program and see if we also need to make tweaks in the zoning code or what or not.
I think that's what we'd want to do anyway.
Just get in a habit, it'd be great. And then I also heard just questions about whether the FAR value incentive is calculated correctly. And so somehow I think we'll probably address those points within our letter of support for moving the program forward.
Great. Well, thank you for your thoughtful consideration on all this. We'll take this back, particularly look at the fee in lieu and the duration issues, and be ready to respond.
Thank
So,
you. Teresa, can you make it
One
quick?
last thing, yes. So when you tenant under this program, you have to tell us, because we all have to go there and buy some stuff
fair
a
enough.
bunch of times.
Well, we make sure that you know.
And I
Fabulous.
was persuaded on your 10-year, by the way.
We'll see how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so
We
much.
appreciate all your time. Next item on the agenda is congestion pricing. Thank you for bearing with us, guys. We're running late here.